Welcome back to Bridges Brothers Barbecue. Today we're doing a little something different. We're not doing a super low and slow for really long. We're doing a low and slow just to impart some smoke flavor and to slowly raise the temperature of these steaks I'm about to cook. These are Costco New York strips. They are choice, not prime, because this method that I'm going to show you today can yield some amazing results even with some not so prime steaks. So that being said, let's get into it. These are Costco New York strips. They are choice, so I didn't get the super expensive prime, but as you can see, they look great. Nice fat cap, and they're pretty thick. So the way I'm going to do these is I'm going to be smoking them. I'm going to bring you all through the process of that. But I'll be smoking them out there on the pellet smoker, and then I will be reverse searing them on the charcoal grill. My main piece of advice I can give to everybody is when they're cooking steaks, make sure you let them sit out for about an hour. I let mine sit out at least an hour, maybe up to 2 to 3. I'll let them sit out of the refrigerator to get room temperature. If they get room temperature, you're going to have a much better experience and a much better product at the end when you serve your family or your friends these steaks. The reason being is when you try to cook a cold piece of meat right out of the fridge and you put it on a cold cast iron skillet, or you try to cook it on a grill, those high heats meeting that cold meat will cause the meat to, well, one, it's going to burn on the outside and it's still going to be raw in the middle. And second, it's going to cause that cold meat to tense up. It's going to just tighten up on you. And it's going to be a tough piece of meat. So just that simple step of just letting it sit out, get room temperature, will yield a much better result in the end. If I can get at least 1,000 subscribers, I will then reveal my personal preference of how to season and my step-by-step method of how I season steaks. Now, people tell me they're the best steaks they've ever had. I mean, they're pretty good. My steaks are pretty good. So I'll show you exactly how I do it step by step. But again, main piece of advice, let them sit out room temp at least 1 hour. You will be happy you do this. The steaks will turn out juicy and tender every single time. That being said, I got my smoker rolling. It's heating up. These steaks are going to be cooking at 225 for the majority of this cook. If I had longer, which I don't, but if I was actually cooking this the way that I love to do it, if I had the time, I would smoke them for 1 hour at 180. Crank the temp up, do another hour at 225, and then move them over to my Weber kettle and then sear them. That extra hour at 180 on a pellet grill really imparts extra smoke flavor into your meat without like really raising the temperature of the meat too much because it's such a low temp. That 225 bump up for the second hour raises the temperature of that steak up to almost done. I like mine medium rare to medium, so that extra hour gets up to about medium rare. I take them off, literally sear them for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes per side just to get that crust. Let them rest 10 minutes and serve them. And I'll show you a trick at the end of this. A lot of people put butter on these steaks. I'm going to show you my secret that I put on my steaks that make them delicious and juicy at the end of this. So stay tuned. Okay, we got the smoker getting up to 225. It was 270 when I put the steaks on. I'm going to open this up. Here's the steaks. Got 8 gorgeous steaks that we got from Costco. In my grill, this section furthest to the stack is the hottest. It's always been the hottest. So I kind of ran out of room, but this one I put the fat facing the hot side just to kind of protect the rest of the meat. I'm gonna probably have to move these around a little bit partway through cooking, just so this one doesn't get well done while these over here are still medium to medium rare. But if you want to know all the secrets that I do on these steaks, give me a thumbs up and like this video and subscribe. Alright, so it's been exactly 1 hour since the last time we spoke. My smoker's been going at 225 this whole hour. I ended up not having to move that one steak that was in the hot spot. I kept checking it. It was perfectly fine. So I left it there. It did result in some nice crispy fat on the side though, so that's always a plus. What I'm going to do now, shut down my smoker, let it cool down. I don't want to cook these steaks any longer on the smoker. They're at about 110. I'm going to finish them on my Weber. I got my Weber heating up now. Charcoal's in it, and it's getting ready to go. I'll show you what that looks like in a second, but I want y'all to see what these steaks look like real quick. Alright, so that's what the steaks look like. Don't look too bad, do they? They still look raw because, again, we haven't seared them yet. But there's a nice crispy fat on the side there. But we have some nice color. As you can see, the color on these are great. Like right here, got some nice color right there, got some nice color on the side. So we got some good smoke flavor in here, especially on the ends. Good smoke flavor there. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. We're gonna go ahead and let them relax in here until I'm ready to grill them. Alright, so the Weber's up to temp. I don't use a lot of charcoal when I'm searing, because it's a waste to use a whole bunch of charcoal. So I just do a little pile, and that's enough to sear my steaks without wasting an entire bag of charcoal. So I'm gonna go ahead and start moving them over and searing them. Let's go ahead and do one. Let's do it live. Taking it straight off. There it is. Put it right on. I want to do 2 at a time because the hot spot's right in the middle, so I want a good sear on these. I'll go ahead and show you what these look like when I'm ready to flip. You typically never want your flame to flame up this much, but I like doing it when I'm searing because it really helps crisp up the fat on the side. And if you're careful and know what you're doing, you can actually watch this and make sure it doesn't get out of hand. Let's just go ahead and take this one and see, look at that. Not burnt, crispy fat. And when I place it back down, I like to put the fat cap facing the flames. Why? Look at that. Why? Because I like to cook the fat. The fat facing the flames helps cook the fat. And then when I'm also done with these, I'm going to turn them up on their sides and make sure to cook that fat even more. But again, looking pretty good. So this is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. So I just put this steak on here. You see this fat? See how like raw that is? I hate raw fat. I love crispy fat though. So this crispy fat is going to be delicious. I want to show you what happens after I sear this and cook it. It's going to be wonderful. So you don't always have to cut the fat off if you don't like fat on your steak. If you cook it, it becomes an integral part of the steak itself and adds to the flavor. See, here's that one that had the raw fat. After I've done cooked it, the fat's become crispy and cooked and delicious. So this is no longer got a big hunk of gross fat on it. It's become part of the steak and it adds to the flavor. So you don't have to worry about cutting it off. Especially on a New York strip, it's normally got that nice side fat on the side. And as you see, this is how I have them arranged, with the fat facing in towards the flames. So the flames are crisping up that fat, and the fat's protecting the meat from getting overcooked. So this is the final product. This is not butter. This is my secret ingredient. When I cook them at my house, I use South Chicago Packing Wagyu beef tallow. I take just a little butter knife, I spread it on top. While these are resting for 10 minutes, I let it melt into the steak. And after 10 minutes of resting, it's ready to cut into these and eat. All right, everybody, this is the end of the cook. Again, it was on the smoker for an hour, and I grilled it on the grill to give it a char. So let's go ahead and see the end result. Again, that's super tender. And again, before we do the big reveal, this knife is the Binging with Babbage knife. I want to do a full review on this knife. I've been using it non-stop since January of 2022. I want to give you my full honest review. I bought it myself. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I want to give you my honest review on this knife. But without further ado, look at that steak. Perfect. Medium rare. Try my method. I guarantee you're going to get great results. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.